Right now, you believe your memory is a recording. You think that when something happens to you, your brain captures it, stores it, and when you need it, you play it back. That's not what's happening. Your memory is not a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every single time you remember something, your brain is rebuilding that memory from scratch, pulling fragments from different places, filling in the gaps. And here's the part nobody tells you. It fills in those gaps with whatever makes the most sense to your current beliefs. Not with the truth. With you. In 1974, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment that should have changed everything we think we know about eyewitness testimony. She showed participants footage of a car accident. Then she asked them one simple question. But she changed one word between groups. Some participants were asked, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? Others were asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? Same footage, same accident. One word different. The group that heard smashed estimated the cars were going significantly faster. And 1 week later, when asked whether they saw broken glass in the footage, that same group was far more likely to say yes. There was no broken glass. The word smashed had rewritten their memory. Not their interpretation of the memory itself.
Loftus called this the misinformation effect. And for decades, the legal system largely ignored it. Eyewitness testimony remained one of the most trusted forms of evidence in court, even after study showed that memory is not a camera. It's a story your brain tells about the past. And like any story, it changes every time it's told. But this goes much deeper than just getting details wrong. Your brain isn't just bad at storing the past. It's actively motivated to distort it. And it does this for a reason. In 1988, psychologists Shelley Taylor and Jonathon Brown published a paper that became one of the most cited in the history of social psychology. They reviewed decades of research on how people perceive themselves in the world, and what they found was uncomfortable. Most people do not see themselves accurately. They see themselves as more competent than they are, more ethical than they are, more liked by others than they actually are. They remember their past decisions as better than they were. They remember their failures as smaller. They remember the moments they were right and forget the moments they were wrong. Taylor and Brown called this positive illusion. And here's what made their paper controversial. They argued this isn't a bug. It's a feature. People with accurate self-perception, meaning people who see themselves exactly as they are, without inflation, without distortion, tend to score higher on measures of depression and anxiety. They are more realistic. They are also, on average, less happy, less motivated, less resilient. The brain distorts your memories to protect you, to keep you functional, to keep you moving forward instead of collapsing under the weight of every mistake you've ever made. Your brain lies to you about your past because a version of you that remembered everything accurately might not get out of bed in the morning. This has a name. Psychologists call it the fading affect bias. Over time, the emotional charge attached to negative memories fades faster than the emotional charge attached to positive ones. The sting of embarrassment from something you said 10 years ago softens. The warmth of a good memory stays longer. Your brain is running a kind of emotional editing suite, dimming the painful footage, brightening the good, and you never see the cuts being made. But the distortion doesn't stop at emotion.
There's something called memory reconsolidation. And once you understand it, you will never think about your memories the same way again. For most of the 20th century, scientists believed that once a memory was stored, it was fixed, encoded into long-term storage, stable, like a file saved to a hard drive. Then, in 2000, neuroscientist Karim Nader ran an experiment on rats that broke that assumption completely.
He conditioned rats to fear a specific sound by pairing it with a mild electric shock. The fear memory formed. It was stable. It was stored. Then Nader reactivated the memory by playing the sound again. And at the exact moment the memory became active, he injected a protein synthesis inhibitor into the rat's amygdala, a drug that blocks the brain from rebuilding proteins, which is what the brain needs to do to restabilize a memory after it's been recalled.
The rats forgot the fear entirely, not because the memory was erased by the drug, but because every time a memory is recalled, it enters an unstable state. It has to be rebuilt from scratch. And if you interfere with that rebuilding process, the memory doesn't return to storage. It disappears. This means every single time you remember something, you are not retrieving a fixed file. You are reopening it, exposing it to everything you currently know and feel and believe, and then resaving it. But not as it was, as it is now, filtered through the person you've become. Your most important memories have been rewritten hundreds of times. You just weren't watching. This is why two people can share the exact same experience and remember it completely differently. You and a sibling can grow up in the same house, with the same parents, attending the same events, and end up with memories so different they barely overlap. Not because one of you is lying, because both of you rebuilt those memories through your own emotional frameworks every time you recalled them. And those frameworks diverged, slowly, invisibly, over years. By adulthood, you are not remembering your childhood. You are remembering the last time you remembered your childhood, and the time before that, and the time before that. Each retrieval slightly reshaping the original, like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. The original is gone. What remains is a version your brain finds livable. There's another layer. Your brain doesn't just distort what happened, it fabricates things that never happened at all.
Psychologists call this confabulation, and it is not lying. The person confabulating genuinely believes what they are saying. Their brain has produced a memory with full confidence attached to it. The confidence is not earned. The memory is invented. This shows up dramatically in patients with certain kinds of brain damage. Ask someone with Korsakoff syndrome what they did this morning, and they will tell you a detailed, coherent, completely invented story. They are not performing. They are reporting what their brain constructed. But you don't need brain damage to confabulate. In 1995, Elizabeth Loftus and her colleagues ran a study where they convinced participants that as children, they had been lost in a shopping mall, panicked, and been rescued by an elderly stranger. This event had never happened. It was entirely fabricated by the researchers.
25% of participants not only accepted the false memory, they elaborated on it. They added details. They described how they felt. They remembered something that never occurred as if it were as real as anything else in their past. Their brain had filled in a story and labeled it memory. So why does your brain do this? The answer comes from understanding what memory is actually for. Memory is not a historical archive. It was never designed to give you an accurate account of the past. It was designed to help you predict and navigate the future. Every time you remember something, your brain is asking, what does this experience tell me about what's coming next? What should I do differently? What should I avoid? What should I repeat? Memory is a survival tool, and a survival tool doesn't need to be accurate. It needs to be useful. A memory that makes you slightly more confident than the evidence warrants might make you attempt things you would otherwise avoid. And attempting things is how your species survived. A memory that keeps every failure at full emotional intensity might paralyze you. Paralysis gets you killed. So your brain runs the math unconsciously. It keeps what helps you move forward. It softens what might stop you. It fills in gaps with whatever makes the overall picture coherent. The goal was never truth. The goal was function. And here's the part that sits quietly underneath all of this. The self you experience right now, the continuous you that feels like it has existed from childhood to this moment, is built almost entirely out of these reconstructed, edited, partially fabricated memories.
You don't have access to who you actually were. You have access to the story your brain built about who you were, polished and revised over decades, shaped by every mood you were in when you happened to recall something, reshaped again by every conversation where someone else's version of events brushed up against yours. The version of you that existed at 7 years old is not stored anywhere inside your head in any accurate form. What's stored is a narrative, a character, a simplified, emotionally curated version that your brain decided was coherent enough to call the past. You are not remembering your life, you are narrating it, and your brain is the one writing the script.
Loftus spent decades in courtrooms trying to explain this, trying to convince juries that the witness who said, "I am completely certain," was not lying, but was also not necessarily right. That certainty is not the same as accuracy. That the brain can produce vivid, confident, emotionally rich memories of things that never happened, or things that happened differently. She was not always believed, because the experience of remembering feels real. It feels like retrieval. It feels like playback. It has a texture that is indistinguishable from truth, but texture is not evidence. The feeling that you remember something clearly is generated by the same brain that edited the memory in the first place. The next time you're certain about something from your past, consider this.
The memory you're accessing has been recalled many times before. Each recall changed it slightly. You brought different emotions to it each time, different context, different beliefs about yourself and the people involved. What you're holding right now is not the original moment. It's a long chain of reconstructions, each shaped by whoever you were when you reached back for it. Your brain didn't fail you. It did exactly what it was built to do. It kept you going. It just didn't keep the truth.